What is up, everybody? JT Dangerously here once again. I am here to do my Week 12 college football predictions. Now, with Week 11 in the books, we are now into Week 12 of the college football season, with just 2 weeks left to go in the regular season. So I'm extremely excited to do my Week 12 college football predictions for you guys this year, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Now, our record in Week 11 was fantastic. We went once again 30-10. So we're coming in extremely hot, and I'm looking to keep it that way. So in this video, we will continue the winning ways. We're on an 11-week winning streak. Hopefully in this video, we will make it 12 weeks in a row. Hopefully. Now, this is the first video of a combined and massive 6-video day on the channel today, guys. So, hope you guys will be able to watch this video and all the fantastic videos we got on deck on the channel on this massive month of November this year. And as always, show your support the channel as always, guys, by watching these videos, super kicking those like buttons, hitting that notification bell, commenting your picks, your opinions, and representing your college football teams in the comment sections down below. Now, if this is your first time watching my channel today, guys, as a first-time viewer, and this is your first video, boy, big to go in if you're a huge fan of college football like myself, and you're ready for Week 12 of the college football season. Welcome to the Dangerous Alliance. I'm JT Dangerously. Welcome to the club, because this club is just to whoop whoop again. Thank you guys so very much. Now, other than that, let's get right into my Week 12 college football predictions. Let's start off with the game that will happen on Wednesday night. It is a MAC West rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for the victory cannon between the Western Michigan Broncos heading to Mount Pleasant, Michigan to face the Central Michigan Chippewas. Now, this is the 93rd meeting between Western Michigan and Central Michigan. Western Michigan leads the old-time series 51-39-2. Now, the Chippewas won last year's meeting over the Broncos, and the Broncos are looking to defeat the Chippewas for the first time since 2020. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the MAC Conference. Western Michigan's coming off their loss on Wednesday night to Northern Illinois, coming in at 3-7, and Central Michigan's coming off their victory on Wednesday night over Buffalo, coming in at 4-6. So, coming from me in this MAC West rivalry showdown with possession of the victory cannon on the line on Wednesday night, I am going to go with the Central Michigan Chippewas to get it done at home and defeat the Western Michigan Broncos. And our next matchup, which happens on Thursday night. It is an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the SMU Mustangs heading to New Orleans, Louisiana to face the Green Wave of Tulane. Now, this is the 29th meeting between SMU and Tulane. SMU leads the series 15-13. Now, the Mustangs have won the last 7 meetings over the Green Wave, dating all the way back to 2013, and the Green Wave of Tulane are looking to defeat the Mustangs for the first time since 2012. Now, both teams are coming out very different in Week 11s in the American Athletic Conference. SMU is coming out their victory over South Florida on Saturday, coming in at 6-4, and Tulane's coming off their loss on Saturday to the UCF. They're coming in at 8-2. So, coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown on Thursday night, I am going to go with the Green Wave of Tulane to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the SMU Mustangs in a very close one. And now the next matchup, which happens on Friday night. It is a Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown between the San Diego State Aztecs heading to Albuquerque, New Mexico to face the New Mexico Lobos. Now, this is the 44th meeting between San Diego State and New Mexico. San Diego State leads the old-time series 28-15. Now, the Aztecs have won the last 8 meetings over the Lobos, dating all the way back to 2009, and the Lobos are looking to finally defeat the Aztecs for the first time since 2008. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Mountain West Conference. San Diego State's coming off their victory on Saturday night over San Jose State, coming in at 6-4, and New Mexico's coming off their loss to the Air Force Academy on Saturday, coming in at a rough 2-8. So, coming from me in this Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown on Friday night, I am going to go with the San Diego State Aztecs to get it done on the road and defeat the New Mexico Lobos. And now the Saturday slate, starting off with an Ivy League rivalry showdown in its possession of the Empire Cup between the Big Red of Cornell heading to New York to face the Columbia Lions. Now, this is the 109th meeting between Cornell and Columbia. Cornell leads the old-time series 66-39-3. Now, the Lions won last year's meeting over Big Red, and Big Red is looking to defeat the Lions for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the Ivy League. Cornell's coming off their victory over Dartmouth on Saturday, coming in at 5-4, and Columbia's coming off their victory over Brown in overtime on Saturday, also coming in at 5-4. So, coming from me in this Ivy League rivalry showdown for possession of the Empire Cup, I am going to go with the Columbia Lions to get it done at home and defeat the Cornell Big Red. And our next matchup, it is a Big Ten East rivalry showdown between the Indiana Hoosiers heading to East Lansing, Michigan to face the Michigan State Spartans. Now this is the 69th meeting between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Michigan State Spartans. Sparty leads the old-time series 49-17-2. Now, Michigan State won the last meeting over the Hoosiers last year, and the Hoosiers are looking to defeat Sparty for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very different. Week 11s in the Big Ten Conference, Indiana's coming off their blowout loss to Ohio State on Saturday, coming in at 3-7, and Michigan State's coming off their victory over Rutgers on Saturday, coming in at 5-5. So, coming from me in this Big Ten East rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Peyton Thorne and the Michigan State Spartans to get it done at home and become bowl eligible and defeat the Indiana Hoosiers. And our next matchup is an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the Midshipmen of Navy heading to Orlando to face the UCF Knights. Now this is only the 4th meeting between Navy and UCF. UCF leads the series 2-1. Now the Midshipmen of Navy won last year's meeting over the Knights, and the Knights are looking to defeat the Midshipmen for the first time since 2018. Now both teams are coming out very different. Week 11s, Navy's coming off their loss to Notre Dame on Saturday, coming in at 3-7, and UCF is coming off their big win over Tulane on Saturday, coming in at 8-2 and in first place in the American Athletic Conference division. So coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown, I'm going to go with my good friend Scott Weeks in Sports and his UCF Knights to get it done at home and hopefully punch a ticket to the American Athletic Conference Championship and get it done at home and defeat the Midshipmen of Navy. And our next matchup, it is a Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown between the San Jose State Spartans heading to Logan, Utah to face the Utah State Aggies. Now this is the 41st meeting between San Jose State and Utah State. San Jose State leads the old-time series 20-19-1. Now the Aggies have won the last 9 meetings over the Spartans, dating all the way back to 2009, and the Spartans are looking to finally defeat the Aggies for the first time in 14 years. Now, both teams are coming out very different. Week 11s in the Mountain West Conference. San Jose State's coming off their loss on Saturday night to San Diego State, coming in at 6-3, and Utah State's coming off their late night Saturday night victory over Hawaii on Saturday, coming in at 5-5 with a victory away from bowl eligibility. So, coming from me in this Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the San Jose State Spartans to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Utah State Aggies. And our next matchup, it is a Mountain West Conference West rivalry showdown between my city's Fresno State Bulldogs heading to Reno, Nevada to face the Nevada Wolfpack. Now this is the 54th meeting between Fresno State and Nevada. Fresno State leads the all-time series 30-22-1. Now the Bulldogs won last year's meeting over the Wolfpack, and the Wolfpack are looking to defeat the Bulldogs for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different. Week 11s in the Mountain West Conference. Fresno State's coming out their victory on Friday night over UNLV, coming in at 6-4, and Nevada's coming out their loss on Saturday night to my Boise State Broncos, coming in at a rough 2-8. So coming from me in this Mountain West Conference West rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Jay Kaner, Jed Tedford, and my city's Fresno State Bulldogs to get it done on the road and defeat the Nevada Wolfpack. Go Dogs! And our next matchup, it is a Mountain West Conference Mountain rivalry showdown, and it's for possession of the Rams-Falcon Trophy between the Colorado State Rams heading to the Air Force Academy to face the Air Force Academy Falcons. Now this is the 60th meeting between Colorado State and the Air Force Academy. The Air Force Academy leads the series 37-21-1. Now the Falcons have won the last 5 meetings over the Rams, dating all the way back to 2016, and the Rams are looking to finally defeat the Falcons for the first time since 2015. Now both teams are coming out very different. Week 11s in the Mountain West Conference. Colorado State's coming off their loss on Saturday to Wyoming, coming in at a rough 2-8, and the Air Force Academy's coming off their victory over New Mexico on Saturday, coming in at 7-3. So coming from me in this Mountain West Conference Mountain Rivalry Showdown for possession of the Ram-Falcon Trophy, I am going to go with the Air Force Academy Falcons to get it done at home and defeat the Colorado State Rams in a shootout. And our next matchup, it is an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the Cincinnati Bearcats heading to Philadelphia to face the Temple Owls. Now this is the 24th meeting between Cincinnati and Temple. Temple leads the all-time series 13-9-1. Now, the Bearcats have won the last 2 meetings over the Owls back in 2019 and last year, and the Owls are looking to defeat the Bearcats for the first time since 2018, 4 years ago. Now, both teams are coming out very different in Week 11s in the American Athletic Conference. Cincinnati's coming off their victory on Friday night over East Carolina, coming in at 8-2, and Temple's coming off their loss to Houston on Saturday, coming in at a rough 3-7. So, coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown, this one should be good. Ben Bryant versus E.J. Warner. This one should be a good one in the American Athletic Conference. But coming from me, I'm going to go with Ben Bryant and the Cincinnati Bearcats to get it done on the road and defeat the Temple Owls. And now next matchup between the UConn Huskies heading to West Point to face the Black Knights of Army. Now this is only the 9th meeting between UConn and Army. UConn leads the all-time series 5-3. Now the Black Knights won last year's meeting over the Huskies, and the Huskies are looking to defeat the Black Knights for the first time since 2015, 7 years ago. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s. UConn's coming out their big victory over Liberty on Saturday, coming in at 6-5 and bowl eligible, and Army's coming out their loss to Troy on Saturday, coming in at 3-6. So coming from me in this matchup, I am going to go with the UConn Huskies to get it done on the road and defeat the Black Knights of Army. And now next matchup. It is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Texas Tech Red Raiders heading to Ames, Iowa to face the Iowa State Cyclones. Now this is the 21st meeting between Texas Tech and Iowa State. Texas Tech leads the series 12-8. Now the Red Raiders won last year's meeting over the Cyclones, and the Cyclones are looking to defeat the Red Raiders for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Big 12 Conference. Texas Tech is coming off their victory over Kansas on Saturday, coming in at 5-5, looking to become bowl eligible. And Iowa State's coming off their loss to Oklahoma State on Saturday, coming in at 4-6. So coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Texas Tech Red Raiders to get it done on the road and become bowl eligible and defeat the Iowa State Cyclones in a shootout. And our next matchup, it is an ACC Coastal rivalry showdown between the Duke Blue Devils heading to Heinz Field to face the Pittsburgh Panthers. Now this is the 26th meeting between Duke and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh leads the all-time series 16-9. Now, Pitt has won the last 6 meetings over the Blue Devils, dating all the way back to 2015, and the Blue Devils are looking to finally defeat the Panthers for the first time since 2014, 8 years ago. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the ACC. Duke is coming out their victory over Virginia Tech on Saturday, coming in at 7-3, and Pitt is coming out their victory over Virginia on Saturday, coming in at 6-4. So, coming from me in this ACC Coastal rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Duke Blue Devils to get it done on the road and defeat the Pittsburgh Panthers in a very close shootout. And now next matchup, it is an ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown between the North Carolina State Wolfpack heading to Louisville, Kentucky to face the Louisville Cardinals. Now this is the 12th meeting between NC State and Louisville. Louisville leads the all-time series 7-4. Now the Wolfpack won last year's meeting over the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are looking to defeat the Wolfpack for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming out very rough Week 11s in the ACC. North Carolina State's coming off a last second touchdown by Boston College on Saturday, coming in at 7-3, and Louisville's coming off their loss to Clemson on Saturday, coming in at 6-4. So coming from me in this ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the North Carolina State Wolfpack to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Louisville Cardinals in a very close shootout. And now next matchup, it is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Kansas State Wildcats heading to Morgantown, West Virginia to face the West Virginia Mountaineers. Now this is the 14th meeting between Kansas State and West Virginia. The series is tied 6-6. Now the Wildcats won last year's meeting over the Mountaineers, and the Mountaineers are looking to defeat the Wildcats for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the Big 12 Conference. Kansas State's coming out their blowout victory over Baylor on Saturday, coming in at 7-3, and West Virginia's coming out their last-second field goal victory over my Oklahoma Sooners on Saturday, coming in at 4-6. So coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Adrian Martinez, Deuce Vaughn, and the Kansas State Wildcats to get it done on the road and defeat the West Virginia Mountaineers. And now next matchup, it is a Big 10 West rivalry showdown, and it is known as the Floyd of Rosedale game between the Iowa Hawkeyes heading to Minneapolis, Minnesota to face the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Now this is the 116th meeting between Iowa and Minnesota. Minnesota leads the all-time series 62-41. 51-2. Now the Hawkeyes have won the last 7 meetings over the Golden Gophers, dating all the way back to 2015, and the Golden Gophers are looking to finally defeat the Hawkeyes for the first time since 2014. Now both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the Big Ten Conference. Iowa's coming out their big victory over Wisconsin on Saturday, coming in at 6-4, and Minnesota's coming out their victory over Northwestern on Saturday, coming in at 7-3. So coming from me in this Big Ten West rivalry showdown and the next installment of the Floyd of Rosedale game, I am going to go with PJ Fleck's Minnesota Golden Gophers to get it done at home and defeat the Iowa Hawkeyes in a close one. And now next matchup between the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers heading to Jordan-Hare to face the Auburn Tigers. Now this is only the 3rd meeting between Western Kentucky and Auburn. The Tigers have won the last 2 meetings over the Western Kentucky all the way back in 2003 and 2005. So Auburn has owned this rivalry for 17 years. Now both teams are coming out very good Week 11s. Western Kentucky's coming out their victory over Rice on Saturday, coming in at 7-4. And Auburn's coming out their victory over Texas A&M on Saturday, coming in at 4-6. So coming from me in this matchup, I am going to go with the Auburn Tigers to get it done at home and defeat the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. War Eagle! And our next matchup, it is a Big Ten West rivalry showdown between the Northwestern Wildcats heading to West Lafayette, Indiana to face the Purdue Boilermakers. Now this is the 87th meeting between Northwestern and Purdue. Purdue leads the old-time series 52-33-1. Now the Boilermakers won last year's meeting over the Wildcats, and the Wildcats are looking to defeat the Boilermakers for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Big Ten Conference. Northwestern's coming off their loss to Minnesota on Saturday, coming in at a rough 1-9, and Purdue's coming off their big victory over Illinois on Saturday, coming in at 6-4. So coming from me in this Big Ten West rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Aiden O'Connell and the Purdue Boilermakers to get it done at home and defeat the Northwestern Wildcats in a potential blowout. And our next matchup, it is an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the Houston Cougars heading to Greenville, North Carolina to face the East Carolina Pirates. Now this is the 16th meeting between Houston and East Carolina. Houston leads the old-time series 8-7. Now the Cougars have won the last 3 meetings over the Pirates, dating all the way back to 2017, and the Pirates are looking to finally defeat the Cougars for the first time since 2012, 10 years ago. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the American Athletic Conference. Houston's coming off their victory over Temple on Saturday, coming in at 6-4, and East Carolina's coming off their loss to Cincinnati on Friday night, coming in also at 6-4. So coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between these two 6-4 squads, I am going to go with the Houston Cougars to get it done on the road and defeat the East Carolina Pirates. And our next matchup, it is an ACC Coastal rivalry showdown between the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets heading to Chapel Hill, North Carolina to face the ACC Coastal champions, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now this is the 56th meeting between Georgia Tech and North Carolina. Georgia Tech leads the old-time series 31-21-3. Now the Yellow Jackets won last year's meeting over the Tar Heels, and the Tar Heels are looking to defeat the Yellow Jackets for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the ACC. Georgia Tech is coming off the loss to Miami on Saturday, coming in at 4-6, and North Carolina is coming off their victory over Wake Forest on Saturday, coming in at a very impressive 9-1, and they are the ACC Coastal champions. So coming from me in this ACC Coastal rivalry showdown, we do know that this year's ACC championship game will be Clemson versus North Carolina. So North Carolina is looking to get some momentum going into their ACC championship game on championship weekend in 2 weeks. But I am going to go with Drake May, Mack Brown, and the North Carolina Tar Heels to get it done at home and defeat the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And our next matchup, it is a Big Ten West rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for the Freedom Trophy between the Wisconsin Badgers heading to Lincoln, Nebraska to face the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now this is the 16th meeting between Wisconsin and Nebraska. Wisconsin leads the old-time series 11-4. Now the Badgers have won the last 8 meetings over the Cornhuskers, dating all the way back to the 2012 Big Ten Championship game, and the Cornhuskers are looking to defeat the Badgers for the first time since September 29th. of 2012. Now, both teams are coming out very rough Week 11s in the Big Ten Conference. Wisconsin's coming off their loss to Iowa on Saturday, coming in at 5-5, and Nebraska's coming off their loss to Michigan on Saturday, coming in at a rough 3-7. So, coming from me in this Big Ten West rivalry showdown for possession of the Freedom Trophy, I am going to go with the Wisconsin Badgers to rebound and bounce back on the road and become bowl eligible with a victory and defeat the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And our next matchup between the UAB Blazers heading to Death Valley and Baton Rouge, Louisiana to face the SEC West champions, the LSU Tigers. Now, this is only the third meeting between UAB and LSU. The series is tied 1-1. Now, LSU won the last meeting over UAB all the way back in 2013, and the Blazers are looking to finally defeat the Tigers for the first time since the year 2000. In the year 2000, all the way back 22 years ago. Now, both teams are coming out very great Week 11s. UAB's coming out their victory over North Texas on Saturday, coming in at 5-5, looking to become bowl eligible with a victory. And LSU's coming out their big victory over Arkansas on Saturday, coming in at 8-2. So, coming from me in this showdown in Death Valley, we do know that this year's SEC championship game will be Georgia versus LSU. So LSU is looking to get some momentum going into their huge showdown in the SEC championship game in 2 weeks in Atlanta. So coming from me, I am going to go with Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers to get it done at home and defeat the UAB Blazers. Go Tigers! And our next matchup, it is an SEC East rivalry showdown between the Florida Gators heading to Nashville, Tennessee to face the Vanderbilt Commodores. Now, this is the 56th meeting between Florida and Vanderbilt. Florida leads the all-time series 43-10-2. Now, the Gators have won the last 8 meetings over the Commodores. They can go all the way back to 2014, and the Commodores are looking to finally defeat the Gators for the first time since 2013, 9 years ago. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the SEC. Florida's coming out their victory over South Carolina on Saturday, coming in at 6-4, and Vanderbilt's coming out their huge upset victory over Kentucky on Saturday, coming in at 4-6. So, coming from me in this SEC East rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Anthony Richardson and the Florida Gators to get it done on the road and defeat the Vanderbilt Commodores. Chomp, chomp. And our next matchup, it is an SEC West rivalry showdown between the Ole Miss Rebels heading to Fayetteville, Arkansas to face the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, this is the 69th meeting between Ole Miss and Arkansas. Arkansas leads the all-time series 36-29-1. Now, the Rebels won last year's meeting over the Hogs, and the Hogs are looking to defeat the Rebels for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 11s in the SEC. Ole Miss is coming off their loss to Alabama on Saturday, coming in at 8-2, and Arkansas is coming off their loss to LSU on Saturday, coming in at 5-5. So, coming from me in this SEC West rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss Rebels to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Arkansas Razorbacks in a close shootout. And our next matchup, it is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Texas Longhorns heading to Lawrence, Kansas to face the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, this is the 21st meeting between Texas and Kansas. Texas leads the all-time series 16-4. Now, the Jayhawks won last year's meeting over the Longhorns, and the Longhorns are looking to defeat the Jayhawks for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 11s in the Big 12 Conference. Texas is coming off their loss to undefeated TCU on Saturday, coming in at 6-4, and Kansas is coming off their loss to Texas Tech on Saturday, also coming in at 6-4. So, coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown between these two 6-4 squads, I am going to go with Steve Sarkisian, Quinn Ellers, Bijan Robinson, and the Texas Longhorns to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Kansas Jayhawks in a shootout. Hook 'em. And our next matchup, it is a Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the Washington State Cougars heading to Tucson, Arizona to face the Arizona Wildcats. Now, this is the 46th meeting between Washington State and Arizona. Arizona leads the all-time series 27-18. Now, the Cougars have won the last 2 meetings over the Wildcats back in 2018 and last year, and the Wildcats are looking to defeat the Cougars for the first time since 2017. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the Pac-12 Conference. Washington State's coming out their victory over Arizona State on Saturday, coming in at 6-4, and Arizona's coming out their huge upset victory on the road on Saturday night, defeating UCLA, coming in at 4-6. So, coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Washington State Cougars to get it done on the road and defeat the Arizona Wildcats in a very, very close shootout. And our next matchup, it is for the possession of the Mountain West Conference Mountain Division between my Boise State Broncos heading to Laramie, Wyoming to face the Wyoming Cowboys. Now this is the 17th meeting between Boise State and Wyoming. Boise State leads the old-time series, folks, 15-1. Now, my Broncos have won the last 5 meetings over the Cowboys, dating all the way back to 2017, and the Cowboys are looking to defeat my Broncos for the first time since 2016. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the Mountain West Conference. My Broncos are coming out their big victory over Nevada on Saturday, coming in at 7-3, and Wyoming's coming out their victory over Colorado State on Saturday, also coming in at 7-3. So coming from me in this Mountain West Conference Mountain Rivalry Showdown for possession of the Mountain West Conference Mountain Division, I am going to go with George Holani, Taylon Green, and my Boise State Broncos to take full possession of the Mountain West Conference Mountain Division with a victory on the road and defeat the Wyoming Cowboys. And our next matchup, it is a Big Ten rivalry showdown between the Illinois Fighting Illini heading to Ann Arbor to face the undefeated Michigan Wolverines. Now this is the 97th meeting between Illinois and Michigan. Michigan leads the old-time series 71-23-2. Now the Wolverines have won the last 5 meetings over the Fighting Illini, dating all the way back to 2010, and the Fighting Illini are looking to defeat the Wolverines for the first time since 2009, 13 years ago. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Big Ten Conference. Illinois is coming off their second loss this week, losing to Purdue on Saturday, coming in at 7-3, and Michigan's coming off their blowout victory over Nebraska on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 10-0. So coming from me in this Big Ten rivalry showdown, this one's going to be good. You got Tommy DeVito, a.k.a. Tommy D, baby, versus J.J. McCarthy. This one's going to be good. Brett Bielema versus Jim Harbaugh. But Michigan better not underestimate Illinois, because we do know next week it's the game. Michigan versus Ohio State. So Michigan better not look ahead. But coming from me, I am going to go with J.J. McCarthy and the undefeated Michigan Wolverines to get it done at home, and we go 11-0 and defeat the Fighting Illini of Illinois in a close shootout. And our next matchup, it is a Big Ten East rivalry showdown between the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes heading to College Park, Maryland to face the Maryland Terrapins. Now this is only the 8th meeting between Ohio State and Maryland. The Buckeyes have won the last 7 meetings over the Terrapins, dating all the way back to 2014. So the Buckeyes have owned this rivalry for 8 years. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Big Ten Conference. Ohio State's coming off their blowout win over Indiana on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 10-0. And Maryland's coming off their loss to Penn State on Saturday, coming in at 6-4. So coming from me in this Big Ten East rivalry showdown, this one should be good. You got C.J. Stroud, who I think is the Heisman Trophy winner this year, versus Tallulah Tagovailoa. This one's going to be a good one in the Big Ten East. But coming from me, Ohio State better not look ahead to next week, because we do know it's Ohio State versus Michigan in the big game. So C.J. Stroud and the Buckeyes better not look ahead and get it done here and now. So coming from me, I am going to go with C.J. Stroud, my pick to win the Heisman this year, and OHIO, the Ohio State Buckeyes, to get it done on the road and go 11-0 and defeat the Maryland Terrapins. OHIO. And our next matchup, it is a massive Pac-12 rivalry showdown, one of the big games in Week 12 of the college football season, and it is the rematch of last year's Pac-12 championship game between the Utah Utes heading to Eugene, Oregon to face the Oregon Ducks. Now this is the 36th meeting between Utah and Oregon. Oregon leads the old-time series 23-12. Now the Utes have won the last 2 meetings over the Ducks back last year and in last year's Pac-12 championship game. And the Ducks' last victory over the Utes, ironically enough, was in the 2019 Pac-12 championship game. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Pac-12 conference. Utah's coming out their victory over Stanford on Saturday night, coming in at 8-2. And Oregon's coming out their surprising loss to Washington on Saturday in the Border War, coming in also at 8-2. So coming from me in the rematch of last year's Pac-12 championship game between these two 8-2 squads, one of the big games in Week 12 of the college football season, this one's going to be good. You got Cam Rising for the Utes versus Bo Nix for the Ducks. This one's going to be good, and whoever wins this game could be facing USC in the Pac-12 championship game this year. But coming from me, I am going to go with Bo Nix because Bo knows and the Oregon Ducks to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the Utah Utes. Quack, quack. And now next matchup. It is a huge Ivy League rivalry showdown, and it's one of the oldest rivalries in college football, and it is just known as the game between the Yale Bulldogs heading to Cambridge, Massachusetts to face the Crimson of Harvard. Now this is the 138th meeting between Yale and Harvard. Yale leads the old-time series 68, 61, and 8. Now, the Crimson won last year's meeting over the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs are looking to defeat the Crimson for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very good days in Week 11 in the Ivy League. Yale's coming out their victory over then undefeated Princeton on Saturday, coming in at 7-2, and Harvard is coming out their victory over Pennsylvania on Saturday, coming in at 6-3. So, coming from me in one of the oldest rivalries in college football between these two Ivy League squads, I am going to go with the Yale Bulldogs to get it done on the road and defeat the Crimson of Harvard. And our next matchup, it is an ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown between the Syracuse Orangemen heading to Winston-Salem, North Carolina to face the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Now this is the 12th meeting between Syracuse and Wake Forest. Syracuse leads the old-time series 6-5. Now, the Demon Deacons have won the last two meetings over the Orangemen back in 2020 and last year, and the Orangemen are looking to defeat the Demon Deacons for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 11s in the ACC. Syracuse is coming off their loss to Florida State on Saturday, coming in at 6-4, and Wake Forest is coming out their loss to North Carolina on Saturday, also coming in at 6-4. So, coming from me in this ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown between these two 6-4 squads, I am going to go with Sam Hartman and these Demon Deacons of Wake Forest to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the Orangemen of Syracuse in a close shootout. And now next matchup. It is an ACC rivalry showdown between the Miami Hurricanes, aka the U, heading to Columbia, South Carolina to face the ACC Atlantic champions, the Clemson Tigers. Now this is the 13th meeting between Miami and Clemson. The series is tied 6-6. Now, the Tigers have won the last three meetings over the U, dating all the way back to 2013. And the U is looking to defeat the Tigers for the first time since 2010. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 11s in the ACC. Miami's coming out their victory over Georgia Tech on Saturday, coming in at 5-5, a victory away from bowl eligibility. And Clemson's coming out their victory over Louisville on Saturday, coming in at 9-1. So, coming from me in this ACC rivalry showdown, we do know it's going to be Clemson versus North Carolina in the ACC championship game, so I know Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers are looking not ahead, and they're looking to get it done here. So coming from me, I am going to go with Dabo and the Clemson Tigers to get it done here at home and get to 10-1 and defeat the Miami Hurricanes in a close one. And now next matchup. It is a huge Big 12 rivalry showdown, and it is known as the Revivalry between the undefeated and number 4 ranked in the college football playoff, the undefeated TCU Horned Frogs heading to Waco, Texas to face the Baylor Bears. Now this is the 118th meeting between TCU and Baylor. TCU leads the old-time series 57, 53, and 7. Now, the Horned Frogs have won the last two meetings over the Bears back in 2020 and last year, and the Bears are looking to end TCU's undefeated streak by beating them for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Big 12 Conference. TCU's coming out their big victory on the road over Texas on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 10-0 at number 4 in the college football playoff rankings, and Baylor's coming out their surprising blowout loss to Kansas State on Saturday, coming in at 6-4. So, coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown and the next installment of the rivalry between these squads, this one should be good, but do I think Baylor has a chance to knock off TCU here? Absolutely. Hell, they beat Oklahoma this year. I wouldn't be shocked if Baylor can knock off TCU, but coming from me, I'm going to go with Max Duggan and the undefeated TCU Horned Frogs to get it done on the road and continue their road to the Big 12 championship game this year and defeat the Baylor Bears. And now next matchup. It is a massive Pac-12 rivalry showdown, one of the big games in week number 12 of the college football season, and it's the battle for the victory bell between the USC Trojans heading to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California to face the UCLA Bruins. Now this is the 92nd meeting between USC and UCLA. USC leads the all-time series 51-33-7. Now, the Bruins won last year's meeting over the Trojans, and the Trojans are looking to defeat the Bruins for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very different. Week 11s in the Pac-12 Conference. USC is coming out their victory on Friday night, blowing out Colorado, coming in at an impressive 9-1, and UCLA is coming out their heartbreaking loss on Saturday night to Arizona at home, coming in at 8-2. So coming from me in this huge Pac-12 rivalry showdown, one of the big games in Week 12 of the college football season, and possession of the victory bell on the line, this one's going to be good. This one's going to be a fantastic showdown. You got two fantastic coaches, Lincoln Riley versus Chip Kelly. You got two fantastic quarterbacks with Caleb Williams versus Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR. This one's going to be good. But coming from me, I'm going to go with the team I said would win the Pac-12 championship this year. And I'm kind of surprised USC is not ranked higher than they are. But I am going to go with Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, and the USC Trojans to get it done on the road and defeat the UCLA Bruins. And now next matchup. It is another Pac-12 rivalry showdown, and this game has always been one of the most wildest games of the year because it is the big game, and it's for possession of the Stanford Axe between the Stanford Cardinal heading to Berkeley, California to face the Cal Golden Bears. Now this is the 125th meeting between Stanford and Cal. Stanford leads the old-time series 65-48-11. Now the Golden Bears won last year's meeting over the Cardinal, and the Cardinal are looking to defeat the Golden Bears for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming out very bad at Week 11 in the Pac-12 Conference. Stanford is coming off their loss on Saturday night to Utah, coming in at 3-7, and Cal's coming off their loss to Oregon State on Saturday, coming in also at 3-7. So coming from me in this massive Pac-12 rivalry showdown for possession of the Stanford Axe between these two 3-7 squads, I don't think the band is going to be out on the field because this rivalry is always known for the band is out on the field, he's going in for the touchdown. There's no band going to be running out in the field on this one. So coming from me, I am going to go with the Cal Golden Bears to get it done at home and defeat the Stanford Cardinal. And now next matchup between the Boston College Eagles heading to South Bend to face the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now this is the 26th meeting between Boston College and Notre Dame. Notre Dame leads the all-time series 16-9. Now the Fighting Irish have won the last 7 meetings over the Eagles dating all the way back to 2009, and the Eagles are looking to finally defeat the Irish for the first time in over 14 years in 2008. Now both teams are coming out very good Week 11s. Boston College is coming off their late victory with a last-second touchdown over North Carolina State on Saturday, coming in at 3-7, and Notre Dame's coming out their big victory in Baltimore over the Midshipmen of Navy on Saturday, coming in at 7-3. So coming from me in this matchup, I am going to go with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame to continue the winning ways and get it done at home and defeat the Boston College Eagles. And now next matchup. It is an SEC East rivalry showdown between the Tennessee Volunteers heading to Columbia, South Carolina to face the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now this is the 41st meeting between Tennessee and South Carolina. Tennessee leads the all-time series 28-10-2. Now the Volunteers have won the last 3 meetings over the Gamecocks back in 2019, 2020, and last year. And the Gamecocks are looking to defeat the Volunteers for the first time since 2018. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the SEC. Tennessee is coming off their victory over Missouri on Saturday, coming in at 9-1. And South Carolina is coming off their loss to Florida on Saturday, coming in at 6-4. So coming from me in this SEC East rivalry showdown, this one should be good. You got Hendon Hooker versus Spencer Rattler. This one should be good in the SEC East. But coming from me, I'm going to go with Professor Hendon Hooker and old Rocky Top, the Tennessee Volunteers, to get it done on the road and defeat the South Carolina Gamecocks. And now next matchup. It is an SEC East rivalry showdown between the SEC East champions and the #1 team in the nation in the college football playoff rankings and the reigning national champions, the Georgia Bulldogs, heading to Lexington, Kentucky to face the Kentucky Wildcats. Now this is the 76th meeting between Georgia and Kentucky. Georgia leads the all-time series 61-12-2. Now the Bulldogs have won the last 12 meetings over the Wildcats dating all the way back to 2010, and the Wildcats are are looking to finally defeat the Bulldogs for the first time since 2009, 13 years ago. Now, both teams are coming off very different Week 11s in the SEC. Georgia's coming off their victory over Mississippi State on Saturday in the Battle of the Bulldogs. They're coming in undefeated at 10-0 and the #1 team in the college football playoff. And the Kentucky Wildcats are coming off their shocking loss to Vanderbilt on Saturday, coming in at 6-4. So coming from me in this SEC East rivalry showdown, Georgia is the SEC East champions, and they will be facing the SEC West champions, the LSU Tigers, in the SEC championship game in 2 weeks in Atlanta. So Georgia better not look ahead to that big matchup for the SEC championship. But this one's going to be good. You got Stetson Bennett versus Will Levis. This one's going to be good. But coming from me, I am going to go with the SEC East champions and the reigning national champions, Stetson Bennett, and the undefeated Georgia Bulldogs to get it done on the road and remain undefeated and defeat the Kentucky Wildcats. Go Dogs! Sick 'em! And now the final matchup in Week 12, and this matchup is very special to me because this is a huge Big 12 rivalry showdown, and it is known as the Bedlam Series, and it's for possession of the Bedlam Bell between the Oklahoma State Cowboys heading to Norman, Oklahoma to face my Oklahoma Sooners. Now, this is the 117th meeting between Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. Oklahoma leads the old-time series 90-19-7. Now, the Cowboys won last year's meeting over my Sooners, and my Sooners are looking to defeat the Cowboys for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 11s in the Big 12 Conference. Oklahoma State's coming off their last second victory over Iowa State on Saturday, coming in at 7-3. And my Sooners are coming off their last second field goal loss to West Virginia on Saturday, coming in at 5-5. So coming from me in this massive Big 12 rivalry showdown and the next installment of the Bedlam Series for possession of the Bedlam Bell, this one should be good. It's either going to be Spencer Sanders or Gunnar Gundy versus my boy Dillon Gabriel. So this one is definitely important, especially for my Sooners if we want to become bowl eligible. So coming from me, I am going to go with Dillon Gabriel, Brent Venables, and my Oklahoma Sooners to rebound and bounce back and get it done at home and become bowl eligible finally and defeat the Oklahoma State Cowboys in a slobber knocker. Boomer damn Sooner. And those are my Week 12 college football predictions. Now, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching this video today. Comment below. Who do you see winning in week number 12 of the college football season? Do you see any upsets happening in week 12? And let me know, who is your top 4 teams coming in the college football playoff? For me, it's Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, TCU, close 5th, USC, close 6th. I would say North Carolina because they've had a great year this year. But let me know who you think will be in the college football playoff top 4 this week. And as always, represent your college football teams in the comment section. Even if they're having a rough year like Northwestern or having an amazing year like TCU and Georgia and Clemson and Michigan and Ohio State, still represent them. Let's have a conversation about it. Of course, I'm always on to see your comment, like it, and of course reply right back to me because comments and your opinions are absolutely always welcome on this channel. Now, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching my Week 12 college football predictions today. Again, thank you guys so very much for all the support this year. I'm truly blessed to have you guys part of this dangerous alliance. Now, before you guys go, as always, you guys can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share with your friends, of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. Of course, guys can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button become part of this bigger and dangerous alliance. And of course, we are getting dangerously close to 1,100 subscribers on the channel, guys. So if you guys are not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you guys waiting for? If you're a fan of professional wrestling, when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, the WWE and Ring of Honor, and you're a fan of professional sports when it comes to the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, the NFL and college football, and soon the XFL, super kick that subscribe button, folks. It's free. You become part of this bigger, dangerous alliance. And I will see you guys later today for my official New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom's Historic Crossover 2022 predictions. Kairi Mayu Iwatani 6 and Ospreay Shota Umino 3. Later days, guys. Stay dangerous and peace.